Yay! I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited. Just because we have legendary Kelechi Okafor in the room, and I get to pick your brains a little bit more because, oh my gosh, I feel like I remember the first time someone introduced me to your content. I literally remember it. My friend messaged me and said, I think you'll like this person. And that was like in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, or maybe even earlier than that. And I have been an avid listener of yours ever since. And there is like, I guess, a Kelechi size, like Geppetto size Kelechi on my shoulder. That spurs me on.
Yes.
That says you better watch that, or you better move. So I would just really just starting out. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really, really great. I just taking time, taking time to like slow down and really enjoy the fact that people are more vocal now about their support and their appreciation for the things that I've been doing. I think it's more, I'm kind of taking inventory of the last few years and thinking, wow, I've done quite a lot. Let me chill out. And with my books coming out as well, and being an author now, I think it slows you down as well. Like, do you really have to think about things a lot more? So I feel good. How are you?
I'm really, really happy.
Good.
I feel really content.
Yes.
I feel like I'm finally going, okay. I feel like I'm making a decision. And I feel like for a lot of the people that I'm around, we've been sitting in this crossroads. And I think that we were sold a road after lockdown and George Floyd
Yes.
and all of those things. And so I think that we've all gone down that road a little bit and been like, oh no, it's a dead end. We got to
Absolutely.
go
Absolutely.
we got to go
Yeah.
go the other way. So I'm just forging my own road.
I love that.
This time. Yeah.
It's important.
And just thinking about like your activism and your work with race equality and also with the police as well, reforming that. Where did that begin for you?
I feel like everything has been accidental for me. Like there's some people who are just like, yeah, I just came out of my mother knowing that I'm a revolutionary and I'm a this and I'm a that. I am just a baby girl. My interest in life, shoes, food, bags, cuteness. So imagine my surprise when I'm looking at the world and I'm like, this world is terrible. And I want to say that this world is terrible, so I'm going to say it. And I was surprised to find that people were shocked that I was saying things. Apparently, you're just not meant to. You're meant to keep a stiff upper lip, be polite, keep calm, carry on. I didn't get that messaging, so the messaging didn't make it over to Peckham, not to me anyway. So I just found my way gradually, and it wasn't easy having experiences as a child that made me more inclined to not speak and be rather introverted and moody and things like that. I only started finding my voice more in my late teens than my early 20s. And I think initially when you're becoming self-actualized, you might use your voice or these gifts in a particular way that isn't particularly helpful, but you're just figuring out what you want and what you want to do. And I think that the trajectory for me changed, I would say around maybe 2011 or so, or maybe between 2011 and 2013, when I actually started delving into Black feminist theory.
Right.
And I often say that to me, bell hooks, specifically, people, thinkers like her, Audre Lorde, they changed my life. They saved my life because I was able to see that I wasn't alone in the things that I thought. I just didn't have the vocabulary for the things that I thought. And once I was able to have access to the vocabulary, then things changed. And this is why linguistic weaponization is something that's used by the oppressor. It's used by white supremacist heteropatriarchy, right? If your words are turned against you, or you're not given access to certain words, because if you can't explain your pain, then nobody has to believe it. And so once you have the same words and the tools that they have, the same vocabulary that they have, and you can articulate yourself, it's much harder to ignore you. And then it just became a case of me using the words that I found, using the theories that I now had access to in order to not just speak up for myself, but speak up for other people as well, and also create the spaces that they can speak up for themselves.
I think we should just take a moment for that because that was a book in itself. That's the thesis for your next book, I think.
I need to move into non-fiction now because I have things to say, not through characters but through myself. Like I want to say things as myself. Whether that looks like an autobiography or what, but I mean, the first book I ever pitched to to publishers anyway was to write about how anger can be a liberating force for Black women. And they told me prior to, literally months before George Floyd was murdered, they said, just don't see how that's universal, how anybody would be interested in conversations about anger. Just don't see it. And then a few months later, George Floyd was murdered, and then we see everybody out in the streets. Literally what I said about how anger can be a liberating force. People were taking their anger to the streets, and they were calling for change. And overnight, we were getting the change that we were told wasn't possible. Oh, it's not possible. Police departments were changing overnight. But obviously, a lot of that has been rolled back now because people have calmed down. And it's almost like falling back into that slumber. But the thing is, I know that you've probably experienced this as well. If you wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, the sleep doesn't hit the same when you go back to sleep. Like, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen with the collective. They're trying to go back to sleep because it's just like, oh well, we tried. Maybe 2020 to 2021, 2 was a fever dream. We've tried. Let's just carry on, with hyperconsumption and numbing ourselves. You can't, because you know different. We all know different now. So we're going to have to shift how we operate. And as controversial as it might seem, the fascist leaders, for instance, that are being voted in across the world, they're symptoms of that. They're symptoms of people needing to see this is what it's going to look like if you choose to go back to sleep. So they're going to have to wake up. So I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing, because we were talking earlier off mic about the feeling of hopelessness. And I was saying how actually, again, hopelessness can be a liberating force, because to have no hope, because of the way that hope is weaponized against us, to find yourself in a space where you have no hope, where you feel hopeless, means that you realize that you have to be an active participant in your hope. It's not a passive thing. You don't just la 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 and it's like sunshines and daffodils. You have to go out there and fight for your hope. And then it changes how we interact with the things that we just think are normal or natural.
It's so interesting that you were talking and the your first pitch being about anger being a tool for Black women. We see Black women in the front line all the time, and there's a cost to that. There's a really, really big cost to that. How do you look after yourself?
Yeah, I think it got to the point where I just said, I'm not going to pay it. Really, I'm not. And I think that I wish our foremothers, our foresisters had that for themselves, but maybe they chose to sacrifice it, because there's also choice in all of this, right? But I look across the board and I see some of our best thinkers as Black women, some of our, like our real freedom fighters. First, they were ignored by the patriarchal Black power movements that chose to focus on the men specifically, instead of like doing something that was more integrative with everybody. And aside from that, then colorism also played a role. So the people that we see at the forefront weren't the ones just doing the work. So they were darker skinned women that just died broke and with some kind of random disease, because they worked themselves to the ground. And where are they now? So I looked at that a lot of the thinkers died penniless. They died, lonely, sometimes alone. And usually some of them had a type of cancer as well. And I understand how prevalent cancer is. But we also know that through epigenetics that cells mutate because of trauma. So if you as an individual Black woman choose to take on the trauma of the collective, your cells mutate as a result of that. And then what? It's a thankless task. And if nobody's going to tell me thank you, I've got to tell myself thank you. So it's having the boundaries in place, which I haven't always been good at, as being the eldest daughter in a Nigerian household, feeling like I raised myself, raised my brothers, raised my mother. I went out into the world wanting to raise the community as well, but it's not my job.
Yeah.
Really, I can contribute, but it's not my sole responsibility. And so in recent years, it's been a case of stepping back and really focusing on myself, because really what's happening is a projection of wanting to be saved. A lot of the people, I bet if we were to speak to them today, a lot of the reasons that they do what they do is because nobody came to save them. So they go out to try and save the world. And then I thought, well, what would be more helpful to the community, to the collective, is if I actually went and did the work for myself. And helped myself before focusing on other people. Then, you know, the passion isn't misplaced. The passion is, you know, moderate. It's proportionate to my environment, and I'm not seeking to control my external environment because I can't control what's happening internally. And I think to me that's the honesty of activism. That's the honesty of liberation. You have to be able to liberate yourself internally before you can worry about what's happening externally.
Yeah, I think something that I've been really struggling / tussling with is how you are able to look after yourself and also be a part of community at the same time. It's almost like community can almost be something that takes from you in order for you to be a part of it. But then how do you then practice self-care?
But then community pours into you as well. And growing up in a, you know, in a household, or growing up in dynamics that had me rather distrustful of other people, right? Trust is possibly one of my biggest challenges currently in life. I don't trust people. I don't trust people easily. And you can't not trust and try to participate in community. You just can't. And what I've learned throughout the years is that sometimes when you aren't an active participant in community, that's the time when usually community is pouring into you. When I wanted to open my first pole dance studio in Clapton, community contributed to that. You know, when I was, you know, tussling back and forth with whichever person in the government or online or whatever, community were there to, you know, was there to support me. So whenever I look at it, there are people there. There have been days where I've maybe posted online and been really frustrated about something that's happened, and somebody sent me flowers, or somebody's, you know, offered to get me a coffee, or they've, you know, there's been so much support in different ways. And when I look around, it reminds me that I'm not alone. And sometimes just that knowledge is part of the self-care, because otherwise you can go into a zone where you just don't want to do anything. And it's through community that, you know, somebody might say, I work at this company and they've got a hotel thing that they're doing for this press trip. I'm going to put you on the list so you get to chill out for the weekend. It's subversive. It's subversive acts that people would do because of the organizations that they're in, using what they've got access to support me. And now I'm able to do that for other people as well.
Yeah, that's magic. So being community, guys. I want to go back to you were talking about these great Black women activists, and I wanted to come super local back to Brixton with Olive Morris.
Oh, my baby girl.
Do you want to talk a little bit about Olive Morris?
I remember doing something for one of these companies, and some other quote-unquote activist got onto me because she was like, she would never want to be mentioned or affiliated with such a company. I was like, but you're foolish, because this company has a reach that other people, where those people might not know, that demographic might not know of Olive Morris, and everybody deserves to know about who Olive Morris, you know, was, and in terms of like what she was doing when it comes to housing, when it comes to bookstores that we had access to, and she was really about community, and to then know that and she died rather young as well, which is what's frustrating to me. And I think she's got a blue plaque now.
Yeah, she has. Yeah.
Yes, and I see so much of myself in her fearlessness, and we've got an image of her where she's right up in the face of a police officer as well.
By Neil Kenlock. Took that photograph.
I think about that so often. Because what the bravery it must have taken at that time as well to do something like that. Sensational.
Even the way there's an image of her where she's sat in this wicker chair, a little bit like how you're sat in the wicker chair. I was like, wow, it's really like a full-on like reflection there. But yeah, she advocated for Black women
Yes.
to have rights for themselves, and also acknowledge that Black women's that struggles were separate from the white feminist
Yeah. Yeah.
struggle, and then also talking about like squatting and what that and what taking space means, and the activism behind that, I think is so beautiful, and we'll get into that. But I
Yeah.
wanted to also talk about the fact that you were honored and awarded the Olive Morris Award.
Yeah.
How do you how does it feel to carry such a prolific name?
It was such a great honor. I had to be at another event, so I still have not received my award.
Okay.
But I was so taken aback, and it meant so much because to me, that is who I look to. You know, we've got Althea Jones, we've got all of these people that have just Black women who have done amazing work. But Olive Morris really stood out to me because she didn't shy away from being angry, and there were the moments that we see images of her in softness, and then there were other moments where we see that she was more active, but there was still softness there, you know. And I don't think that you can do the work that she was doing without having a profound capacity for love. And to be awarded the Olive Morris Award and be recognized in that way, I feel like to me it said that people still recognize my softness even in everything that I'm doing. Because let me tell you, it frustrates me when I meet people and the first thing that they lead with is, oh, it's Kelechi, I should stay out of your way, you're so fiery, you're so... I'm like, is that what you've got? So you missed all my banter, you missed all my jokes, because I love a one-liner, you missed all of that, and all you got was anger? I'm so sorry for you.
I'm so sorry for you. And if it is the fire, I'm a firefly. I'm a hovering around. I'm like, ooh, burn me up. I like it. And so, talking about Olive Morris and like taking and her ideas about taking up space, you do it in such brilliant ways. Like you have your pole dancing studio.
Yes.
You also have your online platform, but also you do it creatively through writing, through directing, and through performing. How how did you find carving out those spaces for you?
I think I've just responded to life. I'm really into human design, and I'm a generator, so generators respond, right? And I've really responded to life. Everything literally has been accidental. I think that when I am asked about it, you know, there are some people who are like, I planned this and I planned that. No, life presents me with situations and I respond accordingly based on the situation. I've always known myself to be a performer. So being born in Nigeria and I moved to the UK when I was 5, I remember being on the compound in Nigeria because there'll be more than one house on a compound and maybe one of the neighbors, they're having a party and I love food. So now I know that they're serving party jollof rice. So I'll just go and dance there, waiting for somebody to give me jollof rice. Like I've always danced for remuneration, whether it be rice or, you know, money or, you know, working through trauma.
It's so funny. I've always danced for remuneration. Do you know what is so funny? So my mum always says to me that I could dance before I could walk. And my nan used to take me to her like old like church dances. And then she would make me like dance in the middle of everybody, and then she would take off her hat and get money for me. So yeah, get your remuneration.
We've been knowing.
Yeah.
We've been knowing. Like you pay me for my craft.
Exactly.
And so yeah, I've always been into that. But the pole dance studio came about. You know, I've always been a performer. So when it came to applying for college after secondary school, I didn't apply for anywhere other than the Brit school. You know, I didn't tell my mum because she wasn't watching my UCAS like that. So I just applied only for the Brit school because that's where I wanted to go. So I didn't see the point in applying for anywhere else. So I studied musical theatre, and when she found that out, she wasn't happy about it. Finished my time at the Brit School, then it was time for university, and she was like, Kelechi, if you dare, if you dare, I wasn't going to be caught twice. So this time she said, you can't go to university and just study whatever it is that you're doing over there with your performing arts. So you can only go to university if you study something serious. So I looked up on UCAS, where can I study, I don't know, drama and law, and 2 places came up, and then I chose Liverpool Hope University. Never been to Liverpool before, but moved to Liverpool, you know, first day of, you know, Freshers Week or whatever, and that was it, and studied a combined degree in drama, theatre studies with law. And it was tough, but it was really, really useful, because now when I look at contracts, I actually understand what I'm looking at and understand what I should and should not be signing for the most part. So that's helped. I started training pole dance because I'd been into fitness for so many years and athletics and stuff. I decided I'll go to a pole dance fitness class, and I attended within weeks. They were asking me, because I had the background already in fitness, would you consider like teaching a beginner's class? I said, okay. So I got into that, and then they asked me to start teaching twerk. I saw what they were teaching. I said, God forbid. And like, I just so I had to like,
was their backs.
It was just the convulsing, honey. So I had to help them fix that. And it got so popular. I thought, why don't I take these classes across the UK as workshops in terms of the twerk classes? And I reached out to a studio in Manchester, White Own Studio, and I sent the video, and I said, I'd really love to come through and teach a class. I noticed on your website you credit Miley Cyrus as, you know, being one of the originators of twerk, which is highly inaccurate, and I'd really love to just, you know, take us through the history.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
It was really something.
Wow.
And then she wrote back and she said, hi, yeah, I don't really enjoy your style of twerk. I find it basic. And when me and my girls twerk, we put our knee pads on and throw down. And I don't know what they were throwing down or what they picked up. It was just a mess. And so I remember posting her response with a video of my class and a video of her class. And I just said, somebody explain. And it went viral. Did not expect it. It went absolutely like monstrously viral. She shut the page down. She started asking people at the studio that I taught at, who is her boss? Who is her boss? But we're all contractors, like all contractors. Yeah. But the fact, it really hit something with me that she was looking for somebody who essentially owned me, or who had my leash to draw me back in, because she was getting all of this backlash online. Yeah. So I think even in that moment, around 2016, it was early 2016, I knew that from then I would not work for anybody in any capacity again, because you're not ever going to find my leash. Like, I don't have one, and there's no one that's going to put one on me. And so she wasn't able to do anything. But I remember the American ladies who were interacting with the discourse said, well, why don't you open your own space? Why were you going there in the first place? And I never considered. I'd been a personal trainer for so many years, but I hadn't considered having a physical space of my own. And then, that happened, January 2016. By August 2016, I had my first space, just because somebody offered. There was the provocation of, why don't you have your own space? And then I had to move my finances around that I was going to use for a wedding at the time, and put it towards opening a space. And that's how Kelechi Okafor Fitness was born, because a white woman pissed me off.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And that's so crazy, because that's how a lot of our stuff.
That's how a lot of things come.
Yeah.
They say, what's an invention is born of necessity.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just something
you just got to. And so, what have been the kind of trials that you've been through in defending your spaces that you've carved out for yourself?
Just, I think people finding me audacious. Like, again, how is she allowed to be like that? And sometimes it's not just from white institutions. It's literally from people who look like us. And sadly so, sometimes it's been straight black men who, for some reason, really zero in on, but why are you just so loud? Why? But if without my loudness, who's speaking up for what's happening to you? Like, when we know that the police stop and search black men and boys 7 times more than they would do white men and boys. surely that's something that we should be annoyed about. And then when it comes to intervention by the government, they're putting snippets of life stories on the inside of chicken boxes from chicken and chip shops. So are you not questioning why this would be the
What? Say that again.
There was a few years back an initiative where they wanted to address knife crime. So when you'd go into certain chicken and chip shops, there would be like stories of people who have experienced knife crime written on the inside.
Like on a cigarette packet?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just think, before you eat this drumstick,
yeah.
you just understand that sharp things are bad. And I could see where they were coming from. You know, dealing with all of these things can be multi-pronged approaches, but I just felt like it was so thoughtless. It was so thoughtless because if you know that where you can get them would be the chicken and chip shops, you're almost there, but you haven't quite got the answer.
Yeah.
So could it possibly be that our lack of nutritious food, due to the fact that we are disproportionately kept out of education, good work and good accommodation and all of these things, could that be a contributing factor to why they might go and eat at chicken and chip shops? You're not addressing that, but you're putting stupid labels on the inside of boxes. Without somebody to critically think about those initiatives like I do, where would we be? And I'm not the only one, of course, but you know, it's so necessary to question these things that seem to be done in good faith, because hardly are they. Who did you bring into the room to advise you on that? It sits very oddly with me. So I faced a lot of backlash. I remember someone sent horse manure, horse poo to my studio one time.
Wow.
Basically telling me that that's what I speak. And but again, this is what I was talking about. Somebody sent me that and I posted about it. It got covered by, I want to say BuzzFeed, I believe. It got covered by somebody, Victoria Sanusi, who does Black Girls Living. She's so wonderful. So at the time she was working, she covered the story, but she said you know, it was even the way she had to phrase it, that this woman believes that this is the reason it was sent to her, because it couldn't be inferred that it was the reason that it was sent to me, you know, the editorial policies and things like that. But that happened, and so many people sent me flowers afterwards. So for every weird, nasty thing that somebody does something lovely. I think one of the worst ones I've gotten was I made a video about Lucy Letby, and I was talking about the fact that I found it frustrating that the mainstream media kept talking about how shocked they were that somebody who looked like her could do something so violent and hurt all those babies, kill all of those babies. It's so shocking. It's so shocking. I said, but what's shocking about it? Because historically speaking, white women have also contributed to violence. Like white women are also violent. People generally are violent, but why are we pretending? Because in fact, when we look at the breakdown of serial killers, outside of white men, white women come straight after that, and they usually are about Lucy Letby's age, and they usually work in caring professions. So actually, she's not anomalous. She fits right into the character profile of what one would expect if they were looking for a female serial killer. Next thing I know, I'm on GB News in the evening, and Dan Wootton is saying that I'm now the new face of anti-white racism. And so that I remember that was like Carnival weekend, and I got so many like threats and abuse, and again more hate mail sent to my studio and things like that. So also this is partly why I don't have myself down on the timetable as teaching, not regularly anyway, because you now know where I am regularly, and that's not always safe, you know, and I want to make sure that my teachers, the staff, everybody's safe at all times. So I might come back for like short stints, but I have to think about the security measures even before I do that. So there are things that go on in the background that have to go on, because apparently as a black woman, you're not meant to speak up about certain things. And when we look at the political class as well, the figures that we have as black female representatives, I can see how they are also stifled from speaking out about the things that they might want to speak out about. And that's why I don't want to participate in that system. I have toyed with the idea of running for Mayor of London in 2028.
Kelechi for mayor!
But when I become mayor, should I become mayor, I don't even want to be called mayor. I just want to be called Mother of London.
Mother.
M-U-V-V.
Yeah, mother.
Mother of London. So
get into it. I like that. Where do I tip?
Right. But people are like, oh, well, would you run for Labour? Like, no, I'm not running for any of the main two-party
I
vehicles.
want my own.
Yeah, it's just going to be me out here,
Yeah.
like a free agent. I'm running as an
Exactly.
independent because I don't want to be caught up in anybody else's policies and not be able to say what I actually think. It probably will be a hard slog. Probably I won't even win, but that's not the point. The point is to disrupt the system and to let people know and to let the system know at large that there is a black woman that is willing to go toe to toe with you, and I'm not gonna hold back on any expletives either. Like, let's enter the same trouser.
Wow. You're so brave.
Or silly.
No, you're a great person.
Thank you.
Like, I really, really admire you. Like, I love your vision. I wonder how you, I wonder when you close your eyes and you think about where you see yourself, how your brain fits those things together, those things together. It was almost like a cartoon version of you inside of your brain, and I see it in your writing. I read Edge of Here.
Yeah.
I really, really love that book.
Thank you.
And I love the vision of it. I love the foretelling of where we're going, and also identifying the problems that might come up earlier. But then there's almost like like we were talking about earlier. There's always another way.
Yes.
Which I really, really enjoy about that. What does writing do for you?
I feel like writing is cathartic, and writing is another spell, right? And so when I read certain texts or I watch certain things, listen to certain music, I just think about the fact that when we pray, we are using words a lot of the time. When we're doing most things, we're using words a lot of the time. So we don't think about the fact that we are casting spells as the collective, especially as black women, over ourselves and where we see ourselves in the future. So of course we do need text and films, etc., that talk about what literally factually happened to us as the diaspora, but at the same time we also need to start thinking about the spells that we're casting for the future, or for the future now. So when I'm writing, I don't want to bring trauma to the black women or black characters that I'm writing about. No, because there's already enough trauma in the world. That doesn't mean it's a form of escapism. I just think that there needs to be some books that you don't harm these people. I'll play around with everybody else, but I'm not harming I'm not harming these people. And if there is somebody that happens to get caught up in something else, there'll usually be a reason why that happened. They didn't want to move in the way that they needed to. And so
like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right. Like, you do you. Like, I'm just gonna go in this direction, feel free to do if you want to. And so that's what Edge of Here really was about. The 8 stories with just having these black protagonists who get to interact with technology in one way, shape or form. Some of them we fear that they're going to get super hurt, but they just make it out in the nick of time. And how do they? Because another black woman gets involved,
Sorry, as you're saying it, and I'm like re-going through the stories, I'm like, oh, it's like all of the black women, either they're able to save each other.
Yes.
It's never like a man.
No,
it's
no,
never
I
that.
made sure.
But like, just thinking about it, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I made sure, because I do think that we need to break out of that. Not that we can't, as different genders, come together and help each other, but I don't want for the black woman's story to always be that a man comes to save her, or any woman's story to be a man comes to save her. And it happened in my novel that's coming out in June, at the end of the month, where I got feedback from the editors about the ending of the story, and they changed it, as a suggestion, right? So you can accept it or reject the suggestion. And it seemed like it was phrased more as, this character, then, she rests her head on the guy and then that's beautiful and they kiss and that's the end. I said, no. That's not how her story ends. First of all, her story's not ending, but that's not how her story ends, because she's lip-sync man. So she has been fighting extraterrestrial beings. She's been doing basketball with the beings in Benin. And then at the end of that, all she's going to do is just stretch leg and lips man. No. I was reject. And I gave my argument for doing so, because I wanted to open up her options. I didn't want her to get tied down to an option. I just wanted to open up her options, because I think that Black women need to explore choice more, which is another thing as well. We're not homogenous, we're not monolithic. So why do people think that we have to all choose the same way? So
Beautiful. And so also I'm thinking, just going back to space, and we are looking, we're in Brixton now, but also you're from Peckham,
yeah.
and we're looking at how those areas are changing.
Uh-huh.
What do we do? How do we, because I guess my thinking is, yes, though these areas do need to have money put into them,
Yes.
because the Black and brown and so lower socioeconomic communities have been carrying these like really like dire situations and living conditions. So the money does need to come in. But how is it now that the money is coming in, it's not for us?
Right. It's only coming in because a particular demographic is moving into these areas, and it's like their lives are seen as more valuable, their lifestyles are seen as more worthy of protection than our own, the people that were in these areas from early. And I just don't think that that's fair. And we talk about it often, that there's a difference between regeneration and gentrification. And gentrification is a form of neocolonialism. And I often, like, I can walk past certain places and I've always thought about the psychology of that. How do you all know that you can gather in this place and Black or brown or, working class people won't come and bother you? Like, this is your place. I see it in my area in Bermondsey now. Like, you can open up a gym, one of those CrossFit, well, they've changed their name to High Rocks, whatever the hell they're calling themselves. But, you go to these places and it's predominantly white people. I see it at Copeland Park in Peckham. You walk through, these gyms are predominantly white people. Where did you not send a memo to that you all know that this is a space that is exclusively for you? But if we were to create similar spaces, the police will be parading up and down constantly, or there'd be a reason for it to not be there.
Yeah.
And so I do think it is about reclaiming certain spaces, but because of the price of everything right now, it's hard. Back in the day, you could get an arch and then have your little mechanics business, or have your art studio, or your woodwork. You could have your little arch and do what you were doing.
So many activist groups that were born out of arches.
But then now everything's been sold by TfL apparently to just one particular company, and they're hiking up the prices, they're hiking up the service charge. So most companies or businesses that go into them can't stay, and those who are there have been priced out now because it's been sold off. That is a violence. That is a violence. And then we turn around and we say, oh, people don't care about the city enough. Well, when they try to care, a massive price tag is put on it. So how I can't care. It's too expensive to care.
Yeah.
Right? And we need more community spaces. And I think as a business owner in Peckham, I've seen the violence from the other side, how the council behaves when they are trying to price you out of your own property. And I've met them fire with fire, that if you go ahead with this, I'll put you on blast everywhere. Like, it won't be nice for you. Like,
Okay. So with your, like, let's put our like Olive Morris hat on. What do you think Olive Morris would do today?
I think it'll be a case of literally going into these empty spaces and just saying, it's claimed now.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're here. This is what we're using it for now. Because essentially that's what's done. Money's not real. The economy really isn't real, but the effects of that it has on those who believe in it, very, very real, right? We just have to stop playing the game.
Yeah.
Who said you own it? Because you signed a piece of paper. I don't believe it. I don't believe in paper. So I'm going to do what I want.
I don't believe in paper.
I don't.
Yeah, I love that.
Like, we just have to find more ways of grouping up to do the things that we need to do, but we're made to jump through loopholes and apply for grants, and all of those things are meant to slow us down. There has to be another way. And this is when allyship comes in, and not this venture capitalism stuff, because even that can be just hellfire. But looking at the people who call themselves allies, open your purse. Open your purse, use your connections to get these spaces that you have access to that the average person does not have access to. Get them access to it at a subsidized rate. Make it possible, because it is possible. Nothing is impossible. We're just told that it is. Everything is made up.
Yeah.
Somebody just decided one day, I'm going to charge people for water, and started charging people for water.
Yeah.
And we went along with it.
Yeah.
Just stop. Somebody decided that we should pay TV less. Sorry.
If no, I'm gonna say that for my quick fire question, because my brain just went all of these things about. I'm gonna come back. Last question in this bulk: if you could write a letter to Olive Morris, what would it say?
It would say, "Dear Olive Morris, thank you so much for being the person that you are. I don't know whether I can call you brave. I don't know whether I can call you courageous, because I don't know how fearful you might have been in the quiet hours when you were thinking about the things that you would have to do, or the things you felt inclined to do. But thank you so much for doing it. Thank you so much for maybe feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Because of you, I'm able to do the things that I do. You are the giant that I'm able to stand on the shoulders of, and I'm ever grateful for that."
Lovely. That's so beautiful. Oh.
Fire in the booth.
Yay! To Olive Morris.
To Olive Morris, a baby girl.
Quick fire questions.
Oh, let's go.
Okay, what song gets you in the mood to bass boss somebody?
Probably Shatawale.
Sing it.
There's 20.
Sing it.
But he says something about take what's rightfully mine, and if you don't like it, he's just talking crowd for the most amount of time, but he mentions 10 million lashes, but I no die. 10 years burial, but I no die. And those words really resonate with me, because so many times people have tried in one way, shape or form to proverbially bury me, and it's like, no, you can't. I'm a beautiful flower. Like, it's not possible.
I'm coming back.
I'm coming back. Like, ta-da!
What's your favorite flower?
I don't actually know the name of it, but it's a plant that I've got. I used to know myself as a plant killer. But in the past 3 years, I've miraculously been able to keep this particular plant alive. It's got purple leaves, and somebody called it an oxtail the other day. Then that made me hungry.
Yeah, I was like,
but
I
it
need to
grows
go
like
get some food.
purple flowers. So it's purple leaves that kind of close like an origami thing. So somebody will probably know what I'm talking about. Closes like an origami thing, the leaves, but the actual flower is like a little purple, little gramophone looking flower that comes out of it. It's just so beautiful.
So if you know what it is,
tell us
in the comments below. That would be really nice.
But it stayed alive, and I'm really proud of myself for that. Yeah, I've just been talking to it.
Like a friend.
And at first I felt odd, like, girl, you're talking to flowers, you're talking to plants, but they're responding by growing.
Exactly.
So clearly the conversation is going well.
Exactly. If you could change one thing, and like, if you could step outside and change one thing, what would it be?
Keir Starmer. No explanation.
Okay. In what ways would you change him?
Just take him out. I would replace him. I would remove him and replace him with myself. I feel like I would do a much better job. Yeah.
I would definitely be a voter of what would you call your party?
Can I say it on the podcast? They would be called the Ben's Peas.
You can't say that word. But it'll be called the Ben's Peas.
Yes.
That is so funny. Oh, and last one. What black female collective activist group should we know about? Should we support now?
Oh, of course there are a few, but in terms of outside of activism, they're just a vibe, born and bred.
Yeah, I love them. 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 Yeah.
I love that I go to spaces now and the baby girls are DJing. They've got a Tiny Tots, book club for little kids as well. It's just how we can grow. We grow our collective as we grow, as our life experiences grow. We carve out spaces to embrace all of that. It's not that, oh, now you've got a child, you can't be part of the group anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, let's have things that support, having a child. And I really love that for them. I love seeing their growth.
And what's coming up next? You've got your book coming out?
Yeah, I've got my book coming out. I've got a book coming out. I've possibly got another picture book coming out, a children's book as well. And I've got a live show. I've got my book launch at the end of the month. So I'm trying to have like a shubs, get a DJ, dance around in Peckham for a few hours. And then I've got a live show for my new kind of thing where I go through the front pages of the newspaper front pages. So that's going to be for my birthday on the 4th of October.
Wow. And where can we find you?
At Kelechnikov everywhere, at Kelechnikov, or on my website. I've got members area where I'm just talking about things I can't possibly say on social media because of the algorithm. And I've got another weekly podcast on there now called Meet Me at the Altar. So it's more spiritual.
The altar in your white dress.
Hey,
You ain't getting no younger, we might as well do it.
hey, Philly, you for
I
I thought he was saying, Philly, you are a wild girl, but he was saying, I've been feeling you for a while, girl. The way I've been singing wrong lyrics all my life in various songs. But yeah, Meet Me at the Altar is there. Spiritual, current affairs, all of that vibe.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll be there. Thank you so much, Kelechi, for being here. It's been so brilliant to hear your story, your thoughts, your vision.